Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Amma ba'd. Last time we looked at Murakkab Izafi. So what is Murakkab Izafi? Murakkab Izafi. Murakkab Izafi is a combination or compilation of two nouns put together. One noun is added to another noun, producing a specific link or relationship between them. So the two components are muzaf and muzaf ilayh. Muzaf and muzaf ilayh, which we know. So muzaf is what is being added, and muzaf ilayh is to which the addition took place. So in other words, muzaf ilayh is the owner, and muzaf is what is owned, or we can say this is possessive, and this is what is possessed, or this is possessee, or what is possessed. So usually this link is that of ownership. One noun is being owned by another noun, but not always. Quite often it gives just a meaning of one noun being attributed to another noun, not quite an ownership. For example, if we say boy's book, so clearly the book belongs to the boy, and boy owns the book. The book is the property of the boy. My car is my property, so it belongs to me in my ownership. But what about Queen of England or King of Jordan? So these are not really the ownerships. It is kind of attribute. One noun is being attributed to another noun. So although most of the time the relationship between two nouns is that of ownership, but not always. Let us look at some Quranic examples and it will become quite clear. The first example here is from Surah Yasin and ayah number 13. So وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ. One of the translations is, narrate to them the example of a certain town, a certain village, etc., etc. So Murakkab Izafi here is Ashab Qarya. So Sahibun is singular and Ashabun is plural, and Qaryati is majroor here. So if we look at Ashab here, this noun doesn't have the mean, and this also does not have al added to it. Al-Qaryati is a noun which is in the state of jar here. So when we have this combination, two nouns together, the first one doesn't have the mean, does not have al either, and the second noun is in state of jar. So that should raise the possibility of Murakkab Izafi. So here this is Muzaf and this is Muzaf ilayh, Ashab al-Qaryati. The second point is quite clear here, that Muzaf can have any i'rab. It could be in Rafa, it could be in Nasab, it could be in Jar. But Muzaf ilayh is always going to be in state of Jar. So in this example, Muzaf is mansub, it is in state of nasab. Why it is? Because we haven't studied fail yet, so we can't really discuss that here at this stage. But the point is that muzaf could be of any Arab, and muzaf ilayh will always be in state of jar. So ashab al-qaryah, so these people belong to that village in a kind of ownership, but not exactly really. It's an attribution. These people are attributed to that village. And the second example is again from Surah Yasin, ayah number 20. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. A man came running, a running man, etc. This is the translation. A man came running from the remote part of the city, remote part of the distant part of further away part of the city. Medina is used in Arabic for city. There is a specific city in Saudi Arabia called Medina, Makkah and Medina. We are familiar with that. But generally speaking, Medina means any city. So, waja'a and came, a man running came, min aqsal madinati, from a remote part of a village. So here again, this is equivalent to the translation of distant part, remote part, and Madinati is city. So that's muzaf, and that is muzaf ilayh. This is majroor, and here we haven't studied this, but because of min, this really is in a state of jar as well. So muzaf, muzaf ilayh. This ayah we have looked part of it. وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لَهُمْ عَذَابَ السَّعِيرِ. So when we looked at, this is Surah Mulk, ayah number 5. When we looked at the first part of this ayah, when we were studying Murakkab Tawsifi, so we knew that here Sama ad-dunya is Murakkab Tawsifi. What kind of sky? The nearest sky. So as-sama is Mawsuf and ad-dunya is Sifa. So that's Murakkab Tawsifi here. But we have got another Murakkab here, which is Murakkab Azafi in the same ayah. And that's Azab as-Sa'iri. Azab as-Sa'iri. And the translation of this part is وَآتَدْنَا لَهُمْ عَذَابَ السَّعِيرِ, and we have prepared for them the punishment of blazing fire, or torment of blazing fire. So azab as-sa'iri, this is muzaf, this is muzaf ilayh. And is this a kind of ownership? It sounds like, but really one noun is being attributed to another noun. So which gives this construction of Murakkab Azafi. So whenever this happens, really, this noun is in state of jar, and we have another noun just before that noun, which doesn't have any tanween, and it does not have al either. That should raise the possibility of Murakkab Azafi. Otherwise, it will be, for example, Azabun. In Quran Pak, right at the beginning of Surah Baqarah, we have seen two constructions in Murakkab Tawsifi, Azabun Azimun in the case of non-believers, and Azabun Alimun in the case of hypocrites. So Azabun Azimun will be Murakkab Tawsifi, or Azabun Alimun will be Murakkab Tawsifi, but Azab as-Sairi, Azab doesn't have tanween here, and the next noun is in state of jar. So this is Murakkab Azafi. Murakkab Tawsifi here, Murakkab Azafi here. The next example is Hal Ataka Hadisul Junudi, Surah Buruj, ayah number 17. Have you heard the story of the warriors? Junud is plural of Jundun. Jundun is a group of people, fighters, jundun, and plural will be junudun. So here this is al-junudi because of lam of definiteness, the tanween has gone here, and hadith doesn't have tanween and doesn't have al either. So the story or the news etc. Of the warriors. So this is mudaf here and mudaf ilayh. So the story of the warriors. So again, is it ownership? Well, more like an attribution. One noun is being attributed to another noun. Similarly, we have hal ataka hadithul ghashiya. That's most of us are familiar with that surah. Hadithul ghashiya, the story of Ghashiya. And also in Surah Taha we have hal ataka hadithu Musa. That's interesting here. Hal ataka hadithu Musa. Let's look at it. Hal ataka hadithu Musa. So we know these are two nouns put together here, hadith and Musa. What happens here that how do we know Musa is in state of jar? Because Musa is behaves like mabni ism, although it's not exactly mabni, but it behaves like mabni. So Musa will be Musa, Musa, Musa. So how do we know here that what is the i'rab of Musa? And this, because this noun here doesn't have al on it and it doesn't have tanween either, and the context will tell us that we are talking about the story of Moses. So Musa here will be considered to be in state of jar. That's one way of knowing how we can make out the i'rab of mabni asma, that the context will tell us, construction will tell us that what their i'rab is. And i'rab of Musa here is, the Musa is in state of jar. So we will say Musa is here fi mahalli jarrin, fi mahalli jarrin, because it is in the slot of muzaf ilayh, and muzaf ilayh we know that muzaf ilayh is always in state of jar. So Musa being muzaf ilayh is fi mahalli jarrin. So hal ataka hadithu Musa. Then we have an example of hatta matla'il fajri, Surah Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadri. That's another one. Indeed, fi laylatil qadri. Fi laylatil qadri. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadri. And the last one is hatta matla'il fajr. So here matla, till the break of the dawn, fajr. So al-fajri is in state of jar, and matla is also in state of jar, and we know why is that, because of hatta. Hatta is harf jar. So whenever we have harf jar, we are going to have ism majroor. So this is one example where muzaf is in state of jar and muzaf ilayh is also in state of jar. Muzaf ilayh is going to be in state of jar anyway, we know that, and muzaf here is in state of jar because of this harf jar. And similarly here Laylati, laylatu, laylata, laylatun, laylatan, laylatin. So there's no tanween here, and that makes it mudaf. This is majroor, so that's mudaf ilayh. And this is also in jar because of this harf jar. So harf jar has caused this mudaf to go into state of jar, and this ism is in state of jar because it is majroor, it is mudaf ilayh. So fi doesn't have any effect on this. Fi has got its action on laylatun or laylatu, laylata, laylati, and we know that a noun goes into jar because of two reasons. One, if it is preceded by harf jar, and second, when it is mudaf ilayh. So here both conditions are met here in these ayah. In this as well as in this, we have one noun which is in jar because of harf jar, another noun is in jar because that noun is mudaf ilayh. So quite a few examples here. So we have seen here that the relationship between the two nouns is not always that of ownership. It is just that one noun is being attributed to another noun, and that's the kind of link between them. So let's move on to another topic today. Let me wipe this off. We made our jumla ismiya, and we used the example of the boy is good. The boy is good, and our translation was easy, there was no problem. We know what boy is. Al waladu, al waladu hasanun. The boy is good. So that's our jumla ismiya. Al waladu hasanun. The boy is good. Now we want to say the boy is good and he is hardworking. The boy is good and he is hardworking. Okay. So looking at that English sentence here, we basically have two sentences here, and those two sentences are, one is the boy is good, the second is the boy is hardworking, and these two sentences has been combined together with this conjunction which is and. And is conjunction. So the boy is good and he is hardworking. The boy is good, the boy is hardworking. So when we say that in English, we can say the boy is good and he is hardworking, or we can say the boy is good and the boy is hardworking. So the boy is good and the boy is hardworking is not really the way we talk in English. This is not, it kind of doesn't sound right. This repetition of the boy is good and the boy is hardworking, that repetition doesn't sound right, and it is not considered to be part of kind of eloquent speech or the correct speech or the usual way we speak in English. So what we do is, here rather than saying the boy is good and the boy is hardworking, we have brought he here. The boy is good and he is hardworking. Okay. So So what is this he? He. He has replaced boy in this sentence, which is actually a combination of two sentences combined together with this conjunction. So he has replaced the boy. So this he is pronoun, called pronoun. So what is pronoun? The names gives it all away, that pronoun is a noun which replaces a noun. So pronoun is a word in English which replaces a noun, and in Arabic, noun and pronoun, they are both ism. Noun is ism, the boy, and he, the pronoun, is also comes under the category of ism. So the pronouns in English we use in place of nouns when a noun has already been mentioned in a speech or in a writing, and that's our better way of speaking or writing, rather than keep on repeating the same noun over and over again. So pronoun in English we usually start from first person and go to third person. In Arabic it's the other way around, we start with third person and we go to first person. So we will look at that in a sec. First, let's have a look what we do in English. In English we have pronouns. If we start from first person, so we say I. Let's change the color. So I and we. So I is both for masculine and feminine, and it's singular in first person. We is plural and it's both for masculine as well as feminine. So these are first person pronouns in English. Second person pronoun in English will be you. Second person. When we are talking to someone, to one person or to group of people, we use you. Not your, actually you. Okay. So you is both masculine, feminine, but at the same time it is also singular as well as plural. So in English there is no plural of you. You, one person is you and a group of persons is you. Singular you, plural is you. And at the same time, from the jins point of view, from the gender point of view, you is both for masculine as well as feminine. So we have in second person only you in English. What about third person in English? So in third person we will say he. We're talking about somebody who is not part of the conversation, either absent from the place where the conversation is taking place or sitting somewhere else at the same place but not part of the conversation. So that's third person. He and masculine and she will be feminine. So that's a singular. And plural will be they. That will be both masculine as well as feminine. So in third person we have he, she and they, both for men and women. So basically in English then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pronouns. So a total of 6 pronouns in English. Okay, so That's English. What about Arabic? So how many pronouns do we have in Arabic? Remember, in Arabic we have dual as well. And not only that, and then we have masculine and feminine for all pronouns in Arabic. In English, if we look here, for example, he or she could be for inanimate objects. He or she could be replaced with it, and it becomes kind of gender neutral. So he will be it, she will be it. But in Arabic there is no neutral gender. These pronouns, which are only 6 in English, in Arabic we have 14. Let us look at them. So as I said, in Arabic we start from third person, and in third person in Arabic is called a ghaib. Ghaib basically means absent, but absent doesn't have to be totally absent from the place where the conversation is taking place. Ghaib basically means absent from conversation. So ghaib is not part of conversation, while the mukhatab, which is second person, is part of the conversation. So third person, which is ghaib in Arabic, it will be either muzakkar or muannas, and then we have wahid, tasniya and jama, singular, dual and plural. So if we start from third person, we will say huwa, which is he, and hiya, which is she. Equivalent in English: huwa, he, hiya, she. And then for tasniya we have huma, those two men, and huma, those two women. And plural we will have hum, they all men, and hunna, they all women. So we have 6 pronouns here for third person: huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna. So 6 for third person. And then similarly for second person, which is called mukhatab or hazir in Arabic, the person who is present, who we are talking to, whether that's one person or more than one person. So again we have 6 here. Anta, you, one person masculine, and anti, you, one person feminine. And then for dual we have antuma, 2 men, and antuma, 2 women. And many men, antum, and many women, antunna. So that's anta, you, one man; antuma, you, 2 men; antum, you, all men. And anti, there's a minor difference here really: anta and anti. Anti, you, one woman; antuma, you, 2 women; and antunna, you, all women. So I'm talking to, or if there's a group of women, I'm talking to women only, then I will say antunna. And when it comes to first person, in Arabic we have only 2 then, just like English. This is I, ana, I, and nahnu, we. Let's change the color. So ana is I, and nahnu is we. In Arabic they do not tend to use nahnu, otherwise it will be ana, nahnu, nahnu. There will be actually 15 rather than 14, but for some reason for first person nahnu is used both for 2 as well as for plural, and while ana is for one person. So ana, if I am talking, I will say ana. If a woman is saying something, she will say ana. So ana is basically I, and nahnu, we. If 2 women are talking, they will say we, and if many women are talking, they will say we. And similarly 2 men, we, and many men, that will be we as well. And it kind of makes sense because if on a stage two men are talking to a group, they will say we. And if there are 10 men standing on a stage, they will say we. Similarly, two women and many women standing on a stage talking to a group of people, they will say we. So it kind of makes sense as well that in first person we have only two, which is ana for singular and nahnu for kind of dual as well as plural. So this chart, let's remove this from here. So this chart is really something which we have to either memorize or by somehow have a photographic memory of it. Those persons who kind of tend to have photographic memory, it's easy for them to have a sketch of that in their mind and are really then by somehow committed to memory that if I say on my right hand there are men, on my left hand there are women, so I can say huwa, kind of say on that side, okay, the camera, huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu, kind of thing. So it's a way of memorizing, and when we will look at examples it will become quite clear and it will become easy to memorize that way. Some people say it by singing. I heard and listened to one lecturer who was kind of singing it, and he was doing quite a good job of it, really. And that is one way of committing something to memory, by singing. But otherwise, I'm kind of person who tend to have photographic memory, and I will just remember this chart. I will have a sketch of that chart in my mind. So, huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. 14 pronouns. Let us look at that sentence again. Let's remove that from here. So what we wrote in English, the boy is good and he is hardworking. The boy is good and, can I write in one straight line? The boy is good and he is hard working. Right. So if we look at that sentence from Arabic point of view, the boy is mubtada, good is khabar. So that's first part of the sentence. And then he, which has replaced the boy, is the mubtada again, and hardworking is khabar. So basically what we have here, we have two jumla ismiya. The boy is good, mubtada, khabar. He is hardworking, mubtada, khabar. There's no is, mr in Arabic, we know that. So the boy good, mubtada, khabar. He hardworking, mubtada, khabar. So how we say that in Arabic? In Arabic we will say al waladu. We already know that. Al Al-waladu hasanun. So al-waladu hasanun. The boy is good. Kind of. Okay. Al-waladu hasanun. So we know that already that al-waladu is mubtada, hasanun is khabar. And then we have and, which is conjunction, and the translation of and in Arabic will be waw with fatha. Al-waladu hasanun wa, and then he is huwa, wa huwa, hardworking, mujtahidun, mujtahidun. So here we have waw is conjunction replacing and then we have mubtada huwa, and mujtahidun is khabar. So what do we have here is that we have mubtada. We know that mubtada is definite, khabar is indefinite. So we have definite, indefinite. We have definite, indefinite. We know that all pronouns are definite. When we studied definiteness, we said that isme alam is definite, and then all the pronouns are definite. And any noun which has al with it, that is also definite. Made definite with the addition of lam of tarif. So definite, indefinite khabar. Definite huwa, indefinite khabar. So this what we're basically saying is that khabar is mubtada is definite, khabar is indefinite. Mubtada is definite, khabar is indefinite. But the statement which we have been making in previous recordings was that mubtada is usually definite and khabar is usually indefinite. So why we say khabar is usually indefinite? From here it's clear that the khabar is indefinite and mubtada is definite. The reason for that is that sometimes khabar, it's not possible to bring the khabar as indefinite, and there are two exceptions which we can look at here, that khabar is indefinite but it could be definite, and those two exceptions are that if the khabar cannot be a sifa. For example, here we'll see the khabar hasanun is a sifa, mujtahidun is sifa, it's kind of adjective. So when khabar is sifa, it's easy to bring khabar as indefinite. When khabar is not sifa, it may not have to be indefinite, or it may not be possible to bring the khabar as indefinite. For example, if we say this example from Quran, Ana Yusufu, Ana Yusufu. You know the story of Prophet Joseph when the brothers came for the third time, and they were really in a bad state at that time, and they said, oh, the household is not really in a good position at all. We couldn't bring enough capital, and hopefully you will give us kind of all what we need rather than looking at our capital which we have. So basically saying that be charitable to us. And when Joseph this time he couldn't really withhold, and he asked them, do you know what you did to Joseph and his brother? And then it clicked to them, and they said, A'inna kala anta Yusuf, are you really Yusuf? And the Prophet Joseph replied, Ana Yusuf wa haza akhi. I am Yusuf and this is my brother. So Ana is mubtada here. Ana is pronoun and it is mubtada and it is definite. We know the mubtada is usually definite. And Yusufu is khabar. But Yusufu is ism ilm. It's not like a sifa here. Al waladu hasanun, the boy is good. He is hardworking. Sifa. This is ism alam. So ism alam is always definite. We cannot make ism alam indefinite. So here we do not have a choice to bring the khabar indefinite. The khabar has to be definite in this scenario. So ana mubtada, Yusufu is khabar here, and it still is jumla ismiya. With a combination of mubtada and khabar, it's jumla ismiya and khabariya, because we are giving information about ana. Ana Yusufu, I am Yusuf. So jumla ismiya khabariya. So that's one condition where it is not really possible to bring the khabar indefinite. This is one of the examples. Ana Yusufu, I am Yusuf. There is another example, in fact, coming to mind, that even though khabar is a sifa, but sometimes it is still not possible to bring khabar as indefinite. And very good example from Surah Ikhlas, we all know that. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad. So Allah, write it properly. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad. So what we basically saying here is that Allahu as-samadu. If we're not reciting and for the teaching and training and learning purposes, we can separate these a bit and say Allahu as-samadu. Allah is mubtada and as-samadu is khabar. So we cannot really say here that Allahu samadun. Allah is a samad or one of the samads, because that's not what Allah is. Allah is the samad. There's no one else who could be samad the way Allah is samad. Allah is self-sufficient, all self-sufficient. He is independent of all while everybody else is dependent on him. Arabs were quite familiar with this word samad, and a tribes person who used to be in a very good position, everybody will come to him and he will meet all their needs, but he will not need anyone else's help. They used to call that person samad. But imagine that even if someone is in a position in a particular point in time, but what happens if that person becomes unwell, for example, will become dependent on others, or a setback happens, and then their financial status changes, and then they become dependent on others. So no person really is a samad except Allah. So we cannot call then Allah samadun, one of the samad, because Allah isn't one of the samad. Allah is the samad. So here, although this is sifa, we will have to bring this definite. Khabar will be definite. So Allahu as-samadu. And when we read this with the principles of tajweed, so as-samadu, this is Hamzatul Wasl, we know that. So that drops in pronunciation. And lam is also not pronounced because of swad being sun letter rather than the moon letter. From this ha, we go straight to swad. So Allahu Samad. And because we stop here, we don't say Allahu Samadu. We just say Allahu Samad. The point to make here is that Samadu is in Rafa. Allah is in Rafa. As-Samadu is in Rafa as well. And we know that Mubtada is always in Rafa and Khabar on its own right is always in Rafa. So in this construction, in this small ayah, which is a Jumla Ismiya, it is a Mubtada and Khabar construction. And it then makes Jumla Ismiya Khabariya. These are the examples where either the khabar isn't sifa, which then it may be definite, like Ana Yusufu, and even when it is sifa, then it is still not possible to bring the khabar as indefinite because here we cannot, we will have to bring the khabar as definite. So this is kind of one exception. Another exception is that for some reason, for some other reason, we want to bring the khabar as definite. For example, if we say that we can say in our original example, al-waladu hasanun. We have that option. But for some reason, if we want to bring this khabar as definite, and the reason could be that if it is in a poetry, for example, we want to rhyme one part with the other part, or the balance of one a verse of a piece of poetry with another verse, for example, etc. So there could be examples there. Then there we may have to bring the khabar as definite. So what we do is in that case, we can bring the relative pronoun between these two. So we can say al-waladu huwa al-hasanu huwal hasanu. So here it becomes definite now. Al-waladu huwal hasanu. The boy is good. That's one translation. And the other could be that sometimes to bring emphasis in our conversation, speech, and in our writing, we use the same style to bring some kind of emphasis. If we want to say only the boy is good, this will be another translation of that. But another better example will be, for example, in al-mu'minuna humul muflihuna. That's right down here. Al-mu'minuna. And then we bring that pronoun, this pronoun is singular, that will be plural because mu'minun is plural. Al-mu'minuna hum, that will become hum. Humul muflihuna. Humul muflihuna. We can translate this, the believers are going to be successful, but a better translation will be that only the believers are going to be successful, or it is going to be the believers who are going to be successful. So that kind of translation will come from bringing this in between and bringing the khabar as definite. So sometimes you bring the khabar definite, you want to bring the khabar definite to produce an emphasis in your conversation and in your writing. We will look at more examples of these different pronouns being used in sentences next time, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.